managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the ravens?
From the mystical east could make time itself slow for you. Mustache, thought Renato.
Renato had been here, at this exact place, at this exact time. But this time, there were so many more ravens. Renato had tried everything. Zenobia had loved him to death. The Skyrim had destroyed everything. The Iblastone had corrupted everyone who held it. He'd never put much faith in Lapino. Lapino was all he had left. This chest contained blank passports from 15 countries. And something useful. Every day he was getting better and better. Renato wondered who was leaving chests of sword crafting supplies around? He wanted to thank him. Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lupino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lupino. Where had the mad rabbit got to? Familiar. Had he lost this one in the card game? Welcome back, he thought. Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lupino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lupino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am! The Ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, we see this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power. Zenobia wasn't just the Emperor's daughter, of course. She'd been Renato's best friend in Sword Fu school. And you're still mad for her, the rabbit reminded him. The rabbit had a point, and Renato had a feeling she'd want to see him again. Who knows what could happen between the two of them this time around? She knows all his plans, chuckled the master spy. She won't give them up easily. She'll tell the interrogators, all right, said Lupino. Taking her would change the game, all right. The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? With this... Renato wondered idly if people who had built these poles had really, really long tentacles. Sometimes, Renato really hated inanimate objects. The road less traveled, thought Renato. How intriguing. What exactly was Lupino up to this time? You could see the wheels spinning inside his head. They made Renato dizzy, in fact. Boy, if looks could kill. So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Reynardo hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Reynardo. Oh, this is gonna be fun, said Lupino, as he ran to go set up his marvelous plan. Hey! Hey, a workbench! He could try out his new bling. The mysterious sword from the east made you so fast you could catch a fly with your chopsticks. That's what you really want. Reynardo could feel his wounds closing. Ooh, we hope nothing else closed up that wasn't supposed to. Reynardo felt dubious about the whole plan. With every step, he was waiting for it all to go horribly wrong. But against all odds, Lupino's idiotic plan worked. Zenobia's ravens ran off after the geese, the net dropped, and Reynardo jumped out of the watermelon and put his sword to Zenobia's throat. Reynardo, she said, are those new scars? They look good on you. You never returned my velvet jacket. It was my favorite. You look stupid in velvet. Ah, what does an imperial princess know about style? Ah, get a room, you two, said Lupino, probably sensing the chemistry. But the fleet was coming on fast, so they took Zenobia east, over the Nexus. She'd vanished from Swordfu School, from his life, without even saying goodbye, without ever telling him she was the Emperor's adopted daughter. Reynardo was aware of her feelings. Maybe this was a bad idea. But was he letting his own feelings get the better of him? Listen, said Reynardo. Let's not do this. Let's not do what? Asked Zenobia. Look, you're the Emperor's right hand. You are going to have me interrogated, he said. Sure, yeah, but then I remembered how you feel about me. How I feel about you? You are going to have me interrogated. But I didn't, because you care about me, said Reynardo. Well, guess again, Buster, she said, and she pushed him off his own boat. As he plummeted towards the bottomless clouds of the abyss, Reynardo decided that he'd not really handle the situation with his usual finesse. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it. The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty. The city was burning, and there was no one to put out the fires. If somehow Zenobia survived her father and inherited his crown, what sort of empire would she be heir to? But he couldn't think about that, could he? Firewalls only let you through if they think you're hot enough. There were a lot of shiny, smooth, curved with leather buckle. What exactly was Lupino up to this time? You could see the wheels spinning inside his head. They made Renato dizzy, in fact. He found a Superman issue #1, a limited edition in a jar he broke. He planned to keep breaking things until he had the whole series. So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato. Oh, go ahead. I'm sure you know better, said Lapino. Had that door been opened before? It was time for him to learn something new. He felt bad for people who had to study. Renato slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek. How soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She became smoke. And he noticed he had a blade to his throat. Stay a while. Heard a familiar voice. Did you really think you could capture me? Zenobia said as her ship lifted off. Now I just wanted some privacy, Renato said. Renato knew she still had feelings for him. Maybe he could just cut to the chase. But was timing right for that? I know how you feel about me, baby. I know you want to be with me, Renato said. What? The Emperor's evil, babe. I'm nice. Remember how nice I was back in school? You were an idiot in school. You said I was funny, said Renato, starting not to like how the conversation was going. The Emperor pulled me out of an alley. Don't tell me he's evil. Yeah, but did you ever wonder why? No, I didn't. Why don't you ask him? Well, because I know why. He wants to sacrifice you. You can tell him that when he interrogates you. Can't we just start this over? But Zenobia shut him in the hold of the ship. He had no one to explain anything to until he was brought to the Emperor's interrogators. After that, it was just screaming. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it. The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty. his hook didn't break. Hero wall, hero sword, firewall, fire extinguisher. Renata could feel the burn. What exactly was Lupino up to this time? You could see the wheels spinning inside his head. They made Renato dizzy, in fact. Wallabies, he thought. Why did it have to be wallabies? These things really slice like ham. So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Reynardo hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Reynardo. Oh, go ahead. I'm sure you know better, said Lupino. Or I could go that way if you thought. Ooh, wouldn't this gauntlet look swell with that jewel in it? Reynardo slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek. How soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She became smoke. And he noticed he had a blade to his throat. Stay a while, purred a familiar voice. Did you really think you could capture me? Zenobia said as her ship lifted off. Now I just wanted some privacy, Reynardo said. Reynardo knew she still had feelings for him. Maybe he could just cut to the chase. But was timing right for that? Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? And he told her why. His Imperial Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him immortal. And to seal the bargain, he needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. You're lying. She was furious. You can't prove that. I can. And so, they set sail for the Nexus. Scientists at the observatory have resurrected one of his victims. Well, he's not exactly alive, but he can talk, and he can't lie. You took a big risk. You know, I could just cast a spell to make you tell me where the rebel base is. And you wouldn't consider that cheating? She frowned. Ugh, fine. Let's go get your witness. The rebellion had started after atrocities that the Empire hushed up. Renato had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred for one book. He had slept in a burnt village. Dead kittens and puppies had come to tell him what the Emperor had done to them. Pylons he could use the hook on. Really needed to construct additional pylons. She caught up with him. Don't you think I'd know if my father started practicing black magic? Why? Would you want to join in? Oh, no, I'd destroy his books and... All right, I suppose I wouldn't. She stopped, troubled. He ran on. No skateboarding, the sign said. Renato had been searching for a way to save the rebellion. Lapina wanted to capture and interrogate Zenobia. But if he could show her proof of her father's madness, maybe she would join the rebellion. Things loaded anyway. observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The Ravens had taken care to burn the reanimated witness to cinders. Zenobia stared around, shocked. The scientists had been neutral. They had no part in the rebellion. "Take me to your council," she said, shaken. "I have things to tell them." It was what Renato had gambled on. The Zenobia would turn against her father once she knew his madness. But the rebel base was secret. Could he really risk taking the Emperor's daughter there, even if she did love him? Reached Lapino by Farspeaker Toad.
No, we should take her to the base,
Insisted Lapino. No, I don't trust her. Nobody changes sides that fast, said Renato.
I better go to the base. Let them know you've got her,
Lapino said. Just meet me at the far side of the mountains. There's a shuttle here I can take.
Always has to be your way, doesn't it?
Said Lapino. Zenobia was still shaking as they got out. "I didn't know," she said. "The Ravens kept it secret. At first they sacrificed prisoners, then villages near the frontier, and then an orphanage. Kittens and puppies. Sometimes he'd come back to the palace and it was like there were glowing things behind his eyes. I was so busy. I'll clear a path for us," Renato told Zenobia, "so the Ravens don't see you." What else could you hook? Imagine getting a horse up in one of these things. He would be cursing a blue streak. Zenobia came up as he massaged his sore arm. Her eyes were wet. He's been saying strange things. He asked me to do experiments. And some were wrong. They are banished, right? said Renato. Gone forever. I mean, he couldn't actually bring the old gods back, could he? She didn't answer him. That frightened him more than anything. wrong. Well, it still looked pretty, didn't it? Base for real. Maybe she wasn't playing him after all. After the bleak talk about the Emperor's dark secrets, he was regretting his suspicion. Zenobia was still shaking as they got out. "I didn't know," she said. "The Ravens kept it secret. At first they sacrificed prisoners, then villages near the frontier, and then an orphanage. Kittens and puppies. Sometimes he'd come back to the palace and it was like there were glowing things behind his eyes. I was so busy." "I'll clear a path for us," Renato told Zenobia, "so the Ravens don't see you." Once you try it, you're hooked. slice the wings off a fly in the air. Not that he would. It's sort of mean. There was an inscription on the platform. Balaleka lessons, with an address. Zenobia came up as he massaged his sore arm. Her eyes were wet. He's been saying strange things. He asked me to do experiments. And some were wrong. They are banished, right? Said Renato. Gone forever. I mean, he couldn't actually bring the old gods back, could he? She didn't answer him. That frightened him more than anything. Die first. music when you opened it. Too bad it was music. Ice walls only let you through if they knew you were cool. Yeah! When I build my castle, Bernardo, all my gates are going to open with buttons, and all the leaders will drop rocks at your head. The Emperor's dark secrets. He's regretting his suspicion. They came up on an empty shack. He gestured her in. "Where's the base?" she asked, confused. "I thought we could talk a bit first."
Oh, you think I'm playing you?
She was furious. I'm betraying my father who picked me out of an alley, and you think I'm playing you? She lashed out. Her claws sliced fire into his face. Energy boiled in her other paw. But before she could kill him, he slashed his sword into her heart. She staggered. I could have loved you. You son of a bitch. And then she died. Renato stood there for hours, unable to move. Finally, a ship landed near him. Lapino had brought the Farfarer. On board the Farfarer, Lapino couldn't stop grinning. I can't believe you actually killed her. Why didn't I trust her? Renato said. All he could feel was emptiness. You killed the Emperor's daughter. You might want to run for it, if you care whether you live or die, that is. Since Renato didn't, he grabbed the wheel, and he sailed for the Imperial fleet. Renato had never felt worse. Zenobia had listened to him. He had trusted him. She had opened her eyes to her father's evil. Done everything he had hoped for. He had taken her to a dirty shack. Was he so used to lying that he couldn't trust even the girl he had always loved? There was a cat in this one, and something useful. Creeped him out to even think about it. This chest was really awesome. See what I did there? Coming through that door. Had it been closed before? To die. Not nearly as much fun as they said. Back as he plunged into the ranks of the rebels. He'd had to kill the girl he loved. He'd also blown the biggest opportunity he could have had to turn the Emperor's daughter against him. Bernardo could only laugh miserably. He was taking crazy chances now, swinging wildly. He expected the Ravens to take him at any moment, but they were running in fear. No one wants to fight a man who doesn't care if he lives. No one wants to fight a hero. This thing really needed a roof. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there? exhausted. Could barely think. He wanted to stop thinking. The rebels were already finished, and he was the last. The Ravens were coming for him personally now, in waves. It didn't matter. He was slick with his own blood. But it didn't matter. In the distance, he could see her, embraced by a halo of light, holding her hand out to him. Had she forgiven him? Would she take him to the halls of the Valiant? Then he felt steel in his belly, and his chest, and his back. And he lay down, and he couldn't see her anymore. And he hadn't learned anything new this time. He'd done the same thing twice, yet expected a different outcome. There would be a way to win. Renato could feel it. He'd have to explore choices he'd never made before he could figure it all out, though. And with that, the book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. On the other hand, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Lapino was no game changer, but could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?